in life, why is like the most important question I have. Like in teaching, everything I do, like I have a strategy for teaching this book. Well, why do I want to do that? How is this helping kids? You know, when it came to that, like why was the last thing we were worried about at that time? We were like, what can we do to combat this head on and try to figure out, you know, how we can try to beat this? And, you know, so we eventually started asking why. And we found out that a lot of this had to do with this syndrome. It's a genetic mutation. It's chromosomal that, you know, puts me at a higher risk of getting cancer. And then I had a 50-50 chance of passing it on to my children, the same chromosomal mutation.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the clip out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 242. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. So we survived the COVID.
Yeah.
Well, you did.
Yeah. I don't know if I had it or not.
I mean, you technically tested negative like 3 times, but you
they
sure
were all
had
home tests.
all the same symptoms that Brian had, who tested positive. So
I don't know. Go figure.
Got me, man.
I don't know anymore, but I do know my symptoms were very mild, and so were his. So thank God we were vaccinated and boosted.
Absolutely. And I am still dancing between the raindrops.
Yeah, you are.
So that's...
Keep dancing.
You know me and
dance, Tom, dance.
My love of dancing. Went to the Caddyshack Gopher School of Dance.
You did.
I'm all did. Got the overbite.
Yeah, that's your move.
That's my move. Yeah. That's my
and that's your speed too. It doesn't matter what the music's doing.
Correct.
That is always the speed.
Yes, because I am an artist, and so I don't let the music dictate the moves.
Why would you?
It comes from my soul.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all know I don't have one. So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Oh, yeah.
Surprise. I'm going to ask you that thing I ask you every week.
That's fair. Well, it might have, it might have stood out to some people that we have some topics to discuss about Peloton kind of hitting the shitter this week.
They've had some rough weeks, but there's some rough news out there.
Yeah, so we're gonna dig into that hard, and we're gonna talk about it with John. We're gonna talk about the upcoming revenue, like the earnings call that's coming up pretty soon. And Dr. Jenn is not able to visit this week, so we are Dr. Jenless for 1 week. She'll be back next week.
She will return.
And we are getting a visit from Angelo, though. And we had a couple of people that wrote in specifically talking about discipline and staying on track. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have some instructor COVID news we got to talk through. And then the instructors have been everywhere. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, we have a ton of little details, in case you missed it, things we're going to hit as well.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and leave a review if you would be so kind. That helps for the people that come along after you. We have a new review.
Oh, yay.
This is from Titanium Foot.
Oh,
so
I know this person. I can't remember. I cannot put the name with the leaderboard name, but I know this.
I'm thinking they don't sneak up on a lot of people.
That's fair.
You hear the Titanium Foot coming at you.
And maybe they wear shoes.
Okay. I got my bike in early 2018, but didn't start listening regularly until about a year ago. I love my Friday morning commute to hear all things Peloton. Crystal and Tom have infectious chemistry. I enjoy listening in, and thanks to Tom, I've learned a few things about pop culture too. I can't help myself.
You cannot.
I saw a post on the FB page which mentioned some of the prior guests, and since then I've gone back and I'm listening from the beginning. It's so interesting. I know, that's a lot. We used to get a lot of those back when there was like 40 or 50 episodes, but now that there's like
almost 250,
5 years worth, that's a lot. It's so interesting to hear how so much has changed, and yet nothing has changed at the same time.
Amen.
The instructor interviews are certainly worth a listen. And hey, if this New Yorker can get past the mispronunciation at the beginning, so can you. So
Thank you.
Thank you. So if you would like to leave a review, we would love to read it. And also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com, and you'll get all these things emailed to you, all the links and whatnot, so you don't got to go hunting for them. And of course, we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout, where you can watch all of these episodes in case you want to do it at work when nobody's paying attention to you. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Breaking news.
So it has been a crazy, week, but even crazier last 12 hours with Peloton. So story broke today that they were halting all production on bikes and treads for
2 months.
For at least 2 months. And so we recorded a segment about that, and then we have to re-record it because then John Foley sends out an email to all Peloton employees, and then later they press release it, post it on the website saying that, like, hey, surprise, that's bullshit.
Yeah, it turns out that there's been a leaker that has been leaking all this content that's been coming out the last couple of days. And as John Foley put it, it was out of context and therefore not true. So he said that they are right-sizing production, not halting all production. So it sounds like we're still going to see layoffs, unfortunately. And it sounds like they're going to be doing that very compassionately, as Peloton tends to do. And it also sounds like they're going to be halting the production plant that you're going to hear us talk about in the next segment. So that's going to be, instead of 2023, it's going to be 2024. But besides that, we don't know what right-sizing production means.
Right. And you had an interesting theory when we were talking earlier that you think, because in Foley's email, he says that things have been leaked and shared out of context, and you were hypothesizing that they misinterpreted the ceasing on that plant to mean ceasing on everything. Yeah. And leaked incorrect information and then created a shitstorm for Peloton today.
Yeah. And so I don't know if that's true. Like Tom said, It was just a hypothesis, but it is interesting to think about. And I think regardless, it means that one way or another, some production has been halted, but not all. And another thing that I think that we need to remember is we need to remember that with people that are going to be laid off, there's going to be still a lot of people upset and concerned and confused, and the headlines have confused a lot of people. Apparently, legal action is being taken against the person who has been leaking this information.
Well, hopefully not against the people that get the leaks. I couldn't give him any ideas.
I know, right? Yeah. But none of those leaks went to us.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
The big destructive stuff doesn't go to us.
Right.
So
perhaps that's for the best.
So the other thing that was interesting is that, Peloton is in a quiet period right now, which means that they're limited in the information they can share. So they also issued a pre-earnings press release earlier tonight, which had preliminary Q2 results. And I feel like it's very interesting in that all of the numbers are in line with what guidance was at the end of the call last time. So
they called their shot and they hit it.
Yeah. And so later you're going to hear John and Tom and I talking about the fact that we think that some of the changes we're seeing have to do with profitability goals of 2023. And I still think that. And in fact, I think the fact that we see right sizing of production, we do see changes in how much they're spending, and the quarterly earnings came in right where they said they would be. That all tells me and signals to me things are not nearly as dire as things have been made to sound in the last 48 hours.
And the stock was actually ticking back up in pre-market trading, after-hour trading. However
it was actually up 27%, which isn't much. It was a couple bucks, but
especially consider how far it dropped. But it, like, the people that pay attention to this stuff were starting to come back around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think another interesting thing to point out from that earnings report is that their churn was 0.79%. So something that seems to be getting lost in this narrative, right? Everybody's caught up in the world of Squawk Box and Mad Money, and everybody wants to be Jim Cramer, which I don't know why, because he's wrong so much. But I think people are losing sight of the fact that people still fucking love their bike.
Yeah.
Like 0.79% churn. The people that have a bike love it, and have a tread, they love it. And so lost in all this, like, getting off in the weeds of the business aspect of what's going on with Peloton, what has been lost is that the end user that is purchasing this product and utilizing this product, they love it, and they continue to love it, and they continue to use it, and they're not giving it up. It's not like everyone suddenly pushed their Peloton to the curb and called their trash provider for big pickup day, right? And so, that, in terms of long-term projection, to me, ultimately, is the most important metric. Is, do the people who own it dig it? And the answer continues to be yes.
Yes. So, moral of this story is everyone needs to calm the F down and let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's just let it play out. It's going to be okay. I'm sorry to everyone who will be affected by this, though, at Peloton.
Absolutely. So anyway, there's our insert for this episode. This was all recorded after what you're about to hear.
Yes.
So if you hear us referencing stuff and it sounds like we don't know what we're talking about, it's because none of it had happened yet. So don't add me. So anyway, there's all that. We now return you to your regular clip out programming already in progress.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills from Run, Lift, and Live. Hey, John, how's it going?
It's happening.
Okay, I'm surprised. Like, I did not see that energy coming in today because, man, it's been a rough week for Peloton, John. It's been a rough week.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst.
I just look forward to this. I've been balled up in the corner for most of the day.
Yeah. Okay.
And I got up and I brushed my teeth and brushed my hair just for this.
Now, do you like change out of, like, quote unquote work clothes just for this call? Do you have to change?
Well, yeah. Just the shirt.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I didn't know if it was like you woke up on Wednesday and you were like, "Oh, it's Wednesday. I'm gonna put my grandpa shark shirt on."
He wears the baby shark shirts with us. When he's working, he wears a grown-up shark shirt.
I've got like a whole change of clothes in my office now at home. Because, you might have to take a call with certain people. Then I got to put on like dress shirt.
Yeah.
And then it's other people and I don't have to be all formal. Then I put on the hoodie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Erica's
smart.
not liking that because now I have like dirty clothes in another room.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah. That's fair. I feel that about Erica. I can understand where she's coming from on that.
Yeah, she don't like that.
We're going to have to get you a little hamper in there.
Right. Yeah, she don't like it.
So I guess let's start with the beginning of the week, which was reported shortly after I think our episode came out last week, which was that the Peloton has been dropped from the Nasdaq 100.
Yeah.
So that's like an index to kind of gauge how Nasdaq overall is doing, and they are no longer deemed indicative of what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
That's always kind of logical to me. I mean, I get that it was news.
Sure.
I'm not trying to demean that it's news, but but I kind of was like, I mean, Nasdaq 100. I mean, it's like Apple and Tesla and Google, right?
We're not at that level right now.
These are all like, these aren't little companies. these are large stock.
But I mean, Peloton's not little anymore. Peloton's big.
Well, large cap stocks
at the moment.
Yeah.
10 billion and above.
Okay.
And they were descending really quickly.
Yeah.
And now they're under that benchmark. So they clearly don't align to NASDAQ 100. So, I mean, I kind of thought that made sense. They shouldn't be there.
It wasn't shocking. I agree with you, but it was sad. And it felt like kind of like a spotlight being shown in the future. Like it was like indicative of things that are to come, is what, especially as I look back over the last 7 days. Because then what happened next, Tom? What's next on the agenda?
Peloton hires McKenzie to review cost structure and cut jobs and close stores.
Yeah, I mean, this makes sense to me too. I guess okay. Both of these things made sense, but they were both sad.
Right.
To your point, Crystal. But this made sense to me too, right? And McKenzie's like a firm that kind of helps you structure your management strategy, right?
Right.
Like that, they do stuff like that, right? As I understand it.
No, that's
and
exactly
we've been complaining for a while about what are these decisions? Who's making these decisions? What is that?
I know, right? So can I just say, right? People confuse me because on the one hand, everyone's like, all the management needs to go. That's how everyone talks.
They need to do something.
That's how they talk.
But not that.
That's the everyone voice.
It is. It is. When I read it on Facebook, they all sound like that, regardless of who types it. And then like they're like, okay, Peloton's like, you know what? You're right. Let's bring in a consultant and have them review like what we should do. And they're, how dare they spend this money to have a review about what should be done?
I love the everyone voice.
Yeah. Or it's like, see, told you they're failing. And it's like, so if they address the issues, they're in trouble. And if they don't address the issues, they're not in trouble. It's just like,
my favorite is, I told you they were too woke. That's what happens. Take that, Peloton. Like, come on. Yes, every company that's struggling right now is also
I'm loving
too
the
woke.
Everyone voice.
Right.
That's awesome.
It kind of took on a different tone that time. I'm not sure what happened.
A little bit, but I liked it.
Okay.
But you're right. That one's getting me too. Like we'll start talking and all of a sudden it turns into, I'll tell you what happened. Yeah, they wanted to be all woke. Yeah, that one gets me. That one, I keep getting that one on my threads.
All I can say about this is I think that they have to do something to move forward. And I think, John, you and I were talking kind of off air messaging, and you brought up the fact that you felt like there's a lot of things that have happened recently that kind of point to this, and it's kind of like showing that this has been kind of going on in the background. And I feel like not only is that true, but I feel like Peloton, they're reacting and they're quietly trying to just keep their head down and do what needs to be done, because regardless of how we got here or who you blame or who's at fault, we're here. So something has to change, because their goal of being profitable in 2023 is looming, and a year is not that much time. So they gotta.
And it's not even a year, right? They said they were going to be profitable in fiscal 2023. That's July. So, I mean,
that's a good point. So, I guess I was looking at it for the full 12 months, because they said fiscal 2023. They didn't say first quarter.
You're right.
We know how they delivered that tread to you.
Damn right.
When it was like in the fall.
The fall.
And it was like, and you got it on like December 20th.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember. I'm still a little salty over that.
Technically, that's the fall. So we know.
Well, I guess,
we know the game they like to play.
So they technically have until July of 2024, or the end June 30th, 2024 to become profitable. But still, no matter how you slice that, it's not that much time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, as you were saying earlier, like, you're right. We kind of saw all this stuff. I mean, we in the earnings call in November, and they kind of hit us with what was going on, and they had to, bring down their guidance. And before that, with the dropping of the bike price. And I mean, I think we've kind of been seeing all the signs of this. We just weren't, it just wasn't enough for us to to collectively go, aha. But I think we've been seeing all this for a while. And like you said, to the point that they said they were going to be profitable in fiscal 2023, all these things that I think we've been seeing happen this week are all related to that goal. I think that's why all these things are happening now that they've brought back the delivery fees and they're talking about raising the cost of these products internationally.
Yes.
I think this is all related to that goal of profitable in 2023. I also think that whole, we're not seeing as many posts on Instagram, Facebook, and I keep picking things up on LinkedIn that aren't on Facebook or Instagram, or MLK Day comes by and we don't get all the instructors posting and the company posting like they had previously done in previous years. It's kind of quiet. Like I see all that as relating to, it's like, those are indications that they're like, we got to do something. We're fixing something right now. Heads down. Everybody's head down, Yeah.
And I think it's also like they don't want to be seen as celebrating or as like not taking this seriously. I don't think that they would be celebrating MLK Day. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that like I think that they don't want to be perceived as like in this like fun light or this like party light right now. They want to be seen as like solemn and taking it seriously. And I think that also their entire social media strategy has changed, because it's not just that they're not posting those things. What they've been posting is totally different. Like now it's like, ooh, we have a thing for you to do. Now it's like there's these little like to-dos every day. And I don't know, some days I like them and some days I'm like, what are we doing? Like I haven't quite...
I didn't get the one last week about, if you're cursing at our instructors, then and they had a bar of soap, like, I mean, I get it that if you're cursing, your mom might have put soap in your mouth, but didn't they stop doing that in like 1982 or something? Like,
also,
people still do that?
I thought it was a weird thing too, because the instructors
cuss. So like, what are you gonna put a bar of soap in Jenn Sherman's mouth? Because I'd like to see you try.
I think my mom did that to me once. It was literally like. It was literally like 1975.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't know when it officially stopped, because we're in the Midwest. Everything takes longer here.
Right.
But I can't.
It might have kept going.
Exactly. I know I got threatened with that a lot though when I was a kid, but I don't remember it ever happening. So either I blocked it out or I slid through. I've always been a rule follower.
That post was successful though, because we got a lot of laughs out of it.
We did.
It was a good post.
I mean, if you're talking about it, it's successful because they just want the interaction.
On some degree, to some degree, I suppose. I think it's interesting with them reintroducing the fees on the bike and people kind of going crazy about that, because I'm just like, anyone who pays attention to Peloton enough to recognize the change, they already have their bike or tread, and so they're not going to be paying those fees because they're good. You got your equipment, and so the only people that are really affected by this are for the most part people that never really knew it was like that in the first place.
And another thing that's really weird to me is it used to be like that. Like if you want to go back in time and you want to talk about like what's unfair, I paid like way more than that for my first bike because I had to pay for a delivery fee. I had to pay for a delivery fee for my tread. Like only the people in however long it's been, John, you thought it might be about a year or so. That's how long people haven't had to pay. And I think they did that as like, let's test the waters to lower the price and see if that gets us more people. But it was also right in the middle of the pandemic, so it wasn't a real number. And then they were like, let's go ahead and take it down all the way. And well, we know how that turned out. So I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it sound like it is. Now, you brought up an excellent point, John. The price is being raised in other countries. That is a different story.
Right. Yeah. And I'm interested, but I think it's a similar thing to what you guys are saying, though. Like if a new person's coming in to buy a bike, I don't know how much that deters them. I'm not sure, in these other countries. So, maybe it's all good there as well. I don't know.
I don't either.
What's also interesting to me about this whole McKenzie thing is I saw they put some numbers in there and they said that late 2020, Peloton had 3,200 employees, and then late 2021, they had almost 7,000.
Whoa. Yeah, it was double.
Yeah. So when they start talking about, executives are talking about, cutting sales and marketing staff by 41% and all these things, I start to think about like all the moves they made during this pandemic kind of era that just bloated them. Like, maybe
there's
this
Pre-Core, there's
Right.
the new lines, there's all the new new research, there's new instructors,
Right.
there's new. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And can I say also on that note that you asked at one point where the 41% number comes from? My theory is it's to get it back to pre-pandemic levels to match what the stock price is. So that would kind of make sense, right? If it's getting rid of almost double of, it's getting rid of almost half the workforce, that's because they've doubled in the last year. So now it's like, well, let's take it back down. Right?
That makes a lot of sense.
That does make sense.
I had no clue what it was. I was like, that's like a random number. Where did they get that from? But yeah, that adds up. Maybe that's what it is.
I'm wondering, do they really need all the stores? Like, I know that they're talking about closing some stores, and I think there was a period of time where it was like people wanted to be able to test the bike, but I feel like the bike's gotten to the point, maybe obviously not the tread, but the bike has, to where if you want a bike and you want to try it first, like, it seems highly unlikely that you don't know someone where you could go sample it, just come over to their house if it came to that.
But not necessarily the tread.
But I said not the tread.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I zoned out for a second.
I literally prefaced my statement with, but not the tread.
Whoopsie.
But it's a Tom moment.
It was.
Yeah. But I just, so I wonder if maybe that's driving it too, of just like, well, we don't, and I'm not saying they're going to close every single store or that they should, but but maybe they don't need, what were they up to?
It was 123.
Yeah. That seems like a lot.
It is a lot, and they grew really fast. And I remember even talking at the time, like, yikes, because it wasn't that long ago. It was 65 stores, and then COVID hit,
right.
which didn't help because there were months that they couldn't sell anything with all
Right.
those stores that they had just opened. So, yeah, I guess 15 stores, and I know this is in a different article, 15 stores are on the quote-unquote cut line. Oof.
That seems
That
light
hurt.
to me.
That hurt my heart.
And I feel bad for the people in the
Right.
stores. Like, I'm not trying to be mean or callous, but that seems like that number should honestly maybe even be higher.
Do people, I know I do because I'm trying to support my local showroom, but I am right with you on that. Like, are people really going, I'm going to go out to the showroom to buy the bike? I'm right with you with that. They probably tried it out at a friend's house or somewhere else, and they're probably just ordering online or just doing like I did. I just bought it sight unseen. I just bought it.
That's what I do.
so I hear you.
I call and get it. Like I call and order it from the store because I don't want to go to the store. Because it's not quick, it's not convenient, so I feel bad, but I want them to get their credit, so I still order from them. But
That's what I do.
But I don't think most people think like that.
I don't either.
I do wonder how much of the store traffic is really just people who already like Peloton going to the store and maybe they buy a shirt or whatever. But I feel like most of the chatter I see about stores are people that already have Peloton talking about going to the store for some reason. Now, that being said, that's not necessarily a fair paradigm in which to judge it, because the people that don't have a bike yet, I'm not going to see those conversations, right? So they're
right.
So it's kind of a false dichotomy, but it's hard not to wonder how important the stores really are.
I would agree.
I remember back in 2018, I was down in Florida, and I went to one of the showrooms at a mall, but I don't remember what city I was in, Boca Raton, or I don't remember where it was at. But we were in the mall, and we went in and asked if we could do a ride, and Alex had a ride going at that time. They were like, yeah, sure. And me and Erica got on the bikes in the showroom, and we're riding, and people were just coming up to us, asking us, do we work there? How does that bike work? Like, as if we were salespeople. What we were truly just, these fanatics of Peloton, just enjoying a ride at the showroom. But it wasn't an actual, it was one of those stand-ups that they put in the middle of the mall.
Like the pop-ups,
Yeah, that dynamic is, the pandemic killed that.
Yeah.
It did.
That had to have been a helpful kind of component
Absolutely.
to who they were. Right?
Yeah, because now it wasn't that long ago we were in our store and I asked about coming in for a ride and they were like, oh, you can't. And if you have a bike, you can't ride here. Like you can only ride here if you're new. And I get it because they're trying to limit it from a COVID perspective. And there's only so many spaces open to be able to do that. So like, I don't begrudge that decision, but it has absolutely changed the vibe and what we did. Right. Yeah, totally.
Which also lessens the overall value of the retail locations. Again, through no fault of the retail locations, but it's just the reality of the situation. But so then in the middle of all that, leaked audio comes out, kind of backing it up. I'm sure they were very excited about their leaked audio.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Who is like sharing Slack messages? And
I mean,
I think the real question here, John, not is who is sharing them, but why aren't they sharing them with us?
Yeah. Come on, man or woman. Why didn't you send that to me? You could have sent it to Business Insider too. Yeah. Like I would have been cool with that. I don't need an exclusive. No, but in all seriousness, it's clearly people that are not. I mean, there's so many people that are like gunning for Peloton right now that it's if you are a disgruntled employee, there's a lot to talk about. Like there's a lot, whether you're right, wrong, or otherwise, there's a lot to talk about. How can you not be worried about this if you're an employee?
Yeah.
Like, on any level.
Is this normal though? I mean, it probably is normal.
Yeah. I've been through this.
A big company that has like a lot of like popularity. I work for these big companies that have had like crisis, but they weren't all popular like this. And I never had, and where news people would ask you questions, but I never had where like people actually said stuff and it just showed up. But again, I never worked for places that were this popular like this.
I worked for a company last year that I cannot say the name of, and also it was not popular. And so right in the middle of COVID, this particular place had a lot of customer service reps, and their response to COVID was tough. And so you had all these people in these shared spaces, and they just kept them there. And they were coming in different shifts. You never had the same workplace. You didn't have your own area. It wasn't clean. They weren't doing, and like it was everywhere. Like if you Googled the name of that company and COVID, it was everywhere. And there were articles by Business Insider requesting for employees to reach out to them. Yeah. Like it's a thing.
And Business Insider, has it always been like the TMZ of the business world? I didn't know this.
I mean, I don't know if they've always been that way, but it's kind of in their name. Like,
yeah, I guess you're right about that. I haven't really pieced the two things together, but you're right. That's a good point.
It's like, when you spell it out for me, like, fair enough.
Spelled it out. Now it all makes sense. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but I was reading some of that stuff. It's wild.
Like, the stuff I didn't get to listen to it, John. Enlighten me.
Well, I didn't listen to it. I'm just reading from the text of what they transcribed from it, right? I
didn't do that either.
When they talked, well, they talk to an employee, and the employee's like, yeah, morale is at an all-time low, and everybody is afraid that they're going to be the one that gets cut. And it felt so depressing. It makes me wonder, like, the inner workings at Peloton today. Like, what is that?
I think that's why their head is down. I think you just hit the nail on the head.
But also, like, the juxtaposition, if you've been an employee of Peloton for a while, right? In terms of like morale's at an all-time low. It's like, okay, well, before you were basically working like at Atari circa 1981. You know what I mean? Where it was like,
you gotta kind of
like you would go to the bathroom and you could wipe with $100 bills, right? Like
I mean, they were on top of the world, like for real. Like I don't think you could have gone higher in the fitness industry. So
like now it's like this is going to be a rough patch. I do think that they'll navigate it, and as painful as some of these moves are, and I do feel bad for the people that are no doubt going to lose their jobs, whether it's 41% or not. It's certainly going to be something. But I do think ultimately it's probably something that they need to do. And I know that's easy to say when it's not your job on the chopping block. So again, I don't mean to be callous, but I do think that maybe they do need to pare back down. But yeah, like it's got to be a little bit of whiplash if you've been there for the full run.
Well, and it's going to feel more hurtful than like your average job, like the job that I was talking about that I was at last year. Like It was never.
Right.
It was never.
Like,
I mean, what my top was probably Peloton's low right now. Like always. Like I'm not even joking.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was like everybody was miserable all the time. And so like when you're comparing subjectively that high to low, it's going to hurt a lot more to go from where they were to now than the average location, the average company.
That makes sense. Another thing that was interesting about this and what they kind of describe in here, they're saying 41% of sales and marketing. So in my group, I post this video from 1995 where Steve Jobs is talking about the dissension of Xerox and the reasoning behind that. And he talks about how they had a monopoly. And so because of that, how do you progress when you have a monopoly? Your sales and marketing people create more sales. So then the sales and marketing people became the more powerful kind of folks. They got all the promotions, and then the product people got pushed out. And so then there was less product innovation, and then other companies came around and kind of overtook them. And so he's kind of describing this paradigm. And so then when I read this, that they're starting with sales and marketing, my mind instantly tied to that Steve Jobs 1995 interview. It's like, am I reading into this that Peloton is thinking something similar, or am I taking that way too far?
I think, right. I think that, so it's hard to say, right? Because there's other factors at play, because don't forget that they didn't start there. Way back in November, they cut the commissions of the sales, all of the showrooms, right? And then whenever the first articles came out this week, it was the retail stores and then it was the retail lines, and now it's sales and marketing. So I don't know I don't know. I don't know where it is or how much, but I will also say when you have people keep saying like it's all the executives' fault, it's all the top level. And I don't know that I agree with that, because I don't think it should. How do I say this? The people at the very top, I mean, I've watched this play out in companies. They get kind of protected from bad news. Yeah. Middle managers are actually like really, like, they're so scared and protective of their people in the cultures. This is typical culture. I'm not saying this happens at Peloton. I've never worked there. But typical cultures, middle managers tend to be very scared of going to the top with real problems and really discussing things and digging in deep. And because of that, the top level hears things in this, like, even when it's really bad news, it's this rosy version of really bad news. So in my opinion, it might be more that the middle management needs to go, not the top. And I know that some people are going to have to go just because there's not enough money for everybody to go around. But I think that that's something to consider.
That's an interesting perspective, but it makes a lot of sense. I hear you. I've seen that before, that same paradigm. So, yeah, maybe it's closer to that. I don't know. I did find that whole connection kind of interesting.
It is interesting, regardless.
Yeah.
It's very, whether you're dead on or you're not, I have no idea. Time will play out, right?
Yeah.
But either way,
I just
it's
say
fascinating.
stuff.
No. You make really...
No, literally, in my group, I just post questions. I could be way out in left field. I
think that you make really good connections to things, so...
Well, here's my new suggestion. Change the price of the bike to $400 million.
Oh, that'll do it.
And then if you sell like 2 of them, you're good.
You're good.
You're good.
You're golden.
Yeah. Done.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
You're welcome, Peloton. I've solved all your problems.
And I also just want to say, for all the people out there being experts at home, and I've seen a lot of people be experts this week. I would just like to say that I really doubt that we can judge accurately who's in the right and who's in the wrong, because we're not there. And I feel like people are being really cruel across the board. And it's been really sad to watch people that I have respected in the past that like have no idea what's going on there, and who I know for a fact have had their own issues in their own career, like say just terrible things about the leadership. And I know for a fact that the leadership has genuine good meaning, whether they're right or wrong. They mean well, and it hurts my heart. It really does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were early on, and you and I, and we met a lot of these people, and we got to know them, and you care for these people. You see them. I was seeing some of these people every week for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
So I mean, you genuinely care about these people. So yeah, and you kind of feel as though you kind of know their heart. So I'm with you. It's like it kind of hurts in my mind as well to see kind of this, and have this concept that the inner workings there's this morale thing and what they may be struggling through.
The Schadenfreude bandwagon is real.
It is.
And speaking of our final story for this segment, just a little, I don't know, hit piece from CNBC about Peloton insiders selling their stock before the big drop. And it's like, well, they didn't, I mean, for the most part, from what best I could tell, it's not like they sold it like 45 minutes
It says
before
they
the big
sold
drop.
it in the fall of 2020. That was a year ago. A year.
Like the headlines makes it sound really sleazy.
It
and when you
does.
actually like read the details, because people do that,
Right.
And it's just like, no, because I remember when Foley unloaded a bunch of stock, and I want to say it was like around $100 a share at the time. It wasn't like when it got to 170 and he was like, okay, I'm going to sell all my stock now that's 170, and I'm going to institute O'Keefe's idea about a $400 million bike, and I'm out.
Well, you know what's funny about that is we even covered it on the show because it was news then, but it was positive news then. It was just a little blip, and nobody paid attention to it. And we talked about it on the show because I wanted to put it in the record that, like, see, there's nothing crazy going on here. They clearly had some like a number set up that when it gets to a certain number, go ahead and sell.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's a scheduled thing. It's not like somebody just woke up one day and said that. But so that's another component. I just saw this as like information that it's like Business Insider. Like you could piece some things together and you could derive something that's a story. And I kind of, I kind of saw this as similar, like something that you could derive as a story that I don't know if it's much of a story.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree. It's not. Yeah. It's not. It's like Tom said, it's the Schadenfreude bandwagon, and there's just a lot of people on it right now. And it's just as a person who's watched a lot of history with Peloton, and I know you guys are right there with me. It's hard to watch. It's hard because I don't think that the things that have happened have been like people just sitting there in upper management like, oh, let's see how we can screw it up. Yeah. Let's hire a bunch of people so we can fire them. Yeah. Like there is none of that happening in my opinion. And it just, I mean, but then people tell me, well, you don't work there. That's true. I mean, I've met these people and I get a good feeling from people, and I don't believe that, but you believe what you want to believe. Yeah. So,
well, it will be interesting to watch how it plays out. It will also be interesting to see if it works, right? Like if this rights the ship.
I mean, they grew too fast. They got to contract, and then it'll. I believe that they will get it in line, and I believe it will take a while. I think by this time next year, we're going to be like, okay, we can all breathe now. Right. You got all that out of your system. It's like a teenager. You got to pull them back in, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of all it lost in it is, I think they, gained like some just under 200,000 new Connected Fitness subscribers last quarter. And I mean, like that ain't nothing to sneeze at. And then they had nearly, I know they kind of burned through a lot of cash quickly, but they still had like just under $1 billion in cash. I mean, like you lose all that when you're getting all this news kind of hitting you. Yeah, you kind of lose.
Yeah, people forget that it's not like, and I've said this before, it's not like people have wheeled their bikes out to the corner for the trash man to come pick them up.
Right.
Like it's like they still have the most popular fitness instructors. They still have equipment people love. They still have all these subscribers. Like, like it's still an enormously popular product.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think their day's over. I don't think the instructors are going anywhere, which is another big thing that I've seen. Like the sky is falling.
The instructors are going to go to where?
Yeah, right. Oh, they're going to go to Echelon? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh, are they going to Apple Fitness? Are they going to go to Body and sell nutrition and dance on Instagram instead of actually teaching something? Like, I don't think so. They're going to be here. I'm not saying no instructor will leave for good reason. I mean, everybody has things that come up, but They're under contract, number one.
And there isn't a competitor that's at the same level in terms of exposure for an instructor. This is the top tier. And it's not even a close call.
Facts.
There's no Coke to this Pepsi.
Yet.
It's like you might have an RC Cola, maybe.
Yeah.
The only time I could see an instructor leaving is if they get like an amazing entertainment deal. Like, I don't think Cody's headed anywhere. I'm just using him as an example. If some amazing entertainment thing popped up as a result of his Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, we want you to host entertainment tonight.
There you go.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I don't see that happening either. Well, I hope not.
I hope not either. I hope not.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, where can people find you?
They can find me in my Facebook page or group, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on the Tickety Talk, Run, Lift, and Live, or they can find me at runliftandlive.com.
That's my favorite, Tickety Talk.
The Tickety Talk.
Bye, John.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Peloton in the news.
We should also point out that the earnings call has been set for Tuesday, February 8th. Apparently, they don't even get to do Thursdays anymore. They've been downgraded to Tuesdays. Oh, no.
I mean, I'm glad. It works out so much better for our schedule. It's so much easier for our schedule,
so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because I think we're going to get some insight either way.
This will be an interesting call. I'm sure Foley can't wait to be on the other side of this event. Like, that has to be.
I feel like, you know how sometimes he shows up and he just kind of looks real tired?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be one of those times.
I bet.
I think it's not going to be his most awake moment. I think he's going to look a little gray and haggard, and I feel bad.
I don't blame him. And then moving on to more mundane Peloton news.
I love this one. I think this is my favorite story this week.
The Spokesman review, giving you all the news that's fit to print for Spokane. Very excited because Spokane joins the exotic list of exclusive Peloton trail rides.
Yes!
I love it.
I do too. And I'm like jealous of them because look at their beautiful scenic trail. What did we get in St. Louis?
Murder Bridge.
Yeah, we got Murder Bridge.
We got the Murder Bridge.
Like, nobody wants to see the Murder Bridge.
Yeah.
Like, what there's so many.
And it's like, look, we bag on St. Louis a lot. We make a lot of jokes at the expense of St. Louis. Many of them deserve. But there are beautiful areas. Like, you didn't need to come do a scenic ride on the Murder Bridge.
Right.
Like,
there's a lot of places you could have picked.
Yeah.
So I'm totally, I love this article because I love how happy and proud they are that it made the freaking newspaper.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I guess
fun.
Spokane, hats off for, I guess you don't have a Murder Bridge.
I mean, or hey, maybe their outdoors is just pretty enough.
Yeah.
Distracted from their Murder Bridge. I don't know.
Maybe they could have done with, like, in St. Louis, like, instead of Murder Bridge, you have, like, Assault Bridge.
That could be.
Right?
Yeah,
they could have done that.
That's true.
They could have went to Bad Check Highway, right?
Right.
They could have done something there. We have all sorts of
lots
of nice places that aren't Murder Bridge. Just saying.
That's true.
Afrotech.com has a nice article about how creativity is the cheat code, how Peloton employs its teams to make things up.
Shake things up. Not
Sorry.
make things up.
I have a center cam on my and it's right over the S and the H. And I was like, take things up. No, that sounds a little dirty. I don't think they're encouraging them to do that.
I think they're shaking things up.
Okay, that's much better.
And they give examples about how the instructors are able to say fun things on the rides, and how then, like, whenever they do partnerships with different artists, collaborations, that they have lots of creativity there. And I totally agree with all that. And it's funny, this is one of the articles that John was talking about that was found only on LinkedIn. Peloton did not post this anywhere, but I found it in all my normal spots because I don't go to Facebook to find it. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was interesting that this is, I feel like they're trying to send a message, but they're trying to send it very, like, subtly. So
yeah, agreed. That it's more targeted. Then the Peloton blog has a nice post this week: how to develop an instructor's mindset.
Yeah, so I haven't included a Peloton blog in forever.
Yeah.
But I really liked this one because so many of us look up to the instructors and we like really appreciate what they have to say, and it motivates us. And so Alex Toussaint and Callie Gullickson, they put together like what keeps them moving on days when it feels good and days when it doesn't. Now, I realize that there's a whole lot of people out there that like it's just their job, and that's kind of the way that people think about it. But it's different when you're on. And I say that as a person who we do this podcast once a week, and it's a tiny fraction of what these instructors go through. Like, it's just a teeny bit. But there are so many days, like there are days that like, no matter how much I love Peloton or how much I love the listeners, I'm not feeling it. And it's hard to push through.
It is.
So I really appreciate seeing in print, here's what the instructors do. And I thought I would share that because I think a lot of people out there can relate to that. A lot of people have jobs where they're on all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, Marie Claire has a review of the 8 best treadmills for home. And of course, the Peloton tread made the list.
Yeah, so did Echelon though. So
hopefully it was at least number 8.
No, it's already up there. I think you zoomed past it.
There it is.
They were above Peloton. I don't know that they were.
I don't think this is a ranking.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. I scroll down. I want to see what the cons were. I can't remember what they said. Just a little bit. If you aren't into classes, this treadmill may not be worth the investment because it's kind of worthless. You can only do the just run. That's it. So no, that's fair.
That's fair. If you don't like the content, then just get a regular old boring treadmill and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of treadmills that are going to do the job.
The clip out.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro, here to answer some nutrition questions for people.
Hey
guys, thanks for having me back.
Well, we're glad to have you back. We have some Clip Out members that need you.
Excellent.
So we had 2 members kind of reach out with the same issue. Ashley Washington and Billy Lenore both are struggling with consistency and discipline. I hear from Billy, he says, story of my life. And Ashley says she does good for a few days and then she falls off the wagon. Help.
Okay. So Ashley and Billy, you are normal. That is what everybody deals with that.
So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
You forgot to throw in, and it depends. Yeah. And we're done.
and it depends. No, so a little bit of background info, though, but this is actually a very relevant conversation. At MetPro, we help create custom strategies for people based on meeting them where they're at. And here's part of that determination process. Most people lose weight, burn fat, have more energy when they consistently follow any clean eating routine, especially right out of the gate the first few days. The challenge is they struggle to do so consistently. That's one bucket. Now, another bucket is, okay, I'm already, within reason, eating clean. I'm already exercising regularly, and my body simply isn't adapting or moving or progressing any further from where I'm at now. That's a different scenario. So we call that metabolic, because what we actually have to do is help somebody redirect their metabolism, rev their metabolic rate to change how their body's functioning at that point in time. When somebody is simply struggling to be consistent with food, that I'm going to tell you the trick. It's going to surprise you. It's not what you think. It's not going to be take more vitamin XYZ. It's about speed. I know that may seem like, what? Why would you say speed?
I'm like, so like the kind you buy from a biker?
Different conversation, Tom. Different conversation.
What sort of advice are we getting?
Where is this going?
Yeah.
It's about, a better word would actually be brevity.
Okay.
So when you have the strategies that enable you to prepare meals or have a routine in place that's consistent and quick, you're going to do great. Your frequency, your regularity, your habits, your consistency, all of those things, momentum, inertia is going to carry you in the right direction. The problem is a lot of people tell me, oh, I'm supposed to do food prepping. Well, I've never done this before. I don't know how to prepare, 3 days worth of a snack, and I don't know what I should eat. And I went to the grocery store and this was half of my afternoon. If that's been your experience, that's normal also, but it shouldn't stay that way. You should have it down to minutes to where, now it's literally a 20-minute project and you've got multiple days dialed in with at least snacks, maybe lunches, etc. And it's quick. But most people don't know those lifestyle techniques. So what I recommend, and this is what I'll recommend for you, Ashley, and for you, Billy, if you're listening, the first thing I want you to do is get a routine of consistency with breakfast and an afternoon snack. If you do just that one thing, you'll have created a disruptive behavior in your daily schedule that will work for the positive. Breakfast, you have a leg up on because typically most people wake up and are at home. If you wake up and you don't know where you're at, well, that's a different conversation altogether. Most people are already at home when they get up. And so all you have to do is have the grocery shopping done and healthy ingredients in your house. Most people can do that.
Okay.
The second thing is going to be preparing an afternoon snack, because if you get an afternoon snack, then what's going to happen is you're not going to make it all the way from waking up to mid-afternoon. So you're going to eat. You'll have breakfast, you'll have lunch. You won't overeat at lunch, whatever you choose, because you have a healthy snack already set up, ready to go. And if you get it middle of the afternoon, it's going to stabilize your blood sugar. It's going to curb cravings. Statistically, if you look back over 30 days, I promise you your average dinner composition, how much you eat and what choices you make will have improved just by consistently getting a healthy afternoon snack. Don't overthink it. Get a balanced macronutrient snack, maybe fruit, nuts, things along those lines, where you're getting a little protein, a little bit of carbohydrates. Just pick something you like that travels well, that's convenient to make, and add that into your routine. What you'll find is that will dovetail into all different aspects of making better choices, more consistency, better discipline throughout your day overall. I think that'll really help.
It is good to have that stuff at the ready. Like I was racing home to do this interview and it was time for my snack. And so it was in my little cooler as I'm driving, I'm reaching over, grabbing my half an ounce of beef jerky and eating a rice cake, which is now I'm probably wearing the rice cake because they're so crumbly. It's like
blends in with your hoodie. It's okay.
I think rice cakes are made out of male egos. They just crumble when you touch them. Like
that was the best one yet. We've been doing these conversations for a while. That one was officially my favorite.
But I got my snack in. So
that
I haven't gotten mine in yet.
Crystal, but you're at home, so you can do this.
That's
you
true.
have access to the food.
Yes.
A lot of people are a little can be overwhelmed by the concept of food prepping because they envision, because we all have that buddy that goes to the gym and maybe he's a physique or figure competitor and that, someone like that. And they have, all their glass jars and meal 1, 2, 3 and all labeled. Don't start there. Start with literally brown paper sacking a simple snack. Make several at a time. Start simple. What you'll find is it'll get easier and easier, and all other meals around it will naturally be better and better choices because we become a function of our environment. In other words, if I ask someone who's trying to be healthy, what would you rather, this healthy grilled chicken salad for lunch, or do you want this greasy cheeseburger for lunch? Well, when given the choice, sometimes maybe willpower is a little lacking. The cheeseburger gets the best of you. I get it.
Oh, yeah. That cheeseburger's going down.
But a lot of times someone will pick a good choice. But life doesn't give you those options. It's you can have this cheeseburger. It'll be ready in 45 seconds and cost you a nickel. Or You can drive home, put on your apron, and start chopping vegetables. Now, which one do you choose?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting a note from our legal department, and they're saying avoid hamburgers that cost a nickel.
Yeah, that's probably.
That's not cow. That's
not a cow.
Not a cow.
Oh, goodness.
So, aside from beef recommendations, if people want advice from MetPro, where can they find you?
They can go to metpro.co/TCO. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
So it was reported this week that Jenn Sherman got the Rona.
She did. She did a Instagram story, and she said that she was out of her house for the first time today, and that she just had the sniffles. She's doing well, and excited to announce that she is going to be back on the bike on Thursday evening. So
awesome!
That is great news.
Yeah.
Glad to have her back, and I'm so glad she's doing okay.
Absolutely, and it sounds like that's what Brian, my son, experienced as well with his COVID over the last
what I
week.
had
was
too.
Just the sniffles. It was if he hadn't tested positive, we wouldn't have even made the list of things to worry about.
Nah, just assumed
minor.
it was a mild cold.
Yeah. So, like you said earlier, thank goodness for being vaxxed and boosterfied.
Yes.
Some good exposure for Adrian Williams this week.
Well, it's an interesting turn of phrase.
What is that?
Exposure.
Oh, because it's a shower thing. I didn't even read the rest of the headline because you know how much I pay attention. But yeah, he was featured in People magazine.
He was. Unfortunately, a lot of people are mad at him now. And it's hard to be mad at Adrian Williams. I mean, he's so funny and sweet. And okay, so here's the controversy. He meditates in the shower. And I guess he lays down in the shower and just gets really absorbed in that meditation.
Yeah.
And so people who are in areas where there are droughts are a little frustrated with Adrian for this major waste of resources.
So, I mean, if he took a shorter shower, would they ship the water to the areas where there are droughts?
It's just the point that they had to take 5-minute showers, and he's there laying in his for God knows how long.
I mean, I
just
guess.
Enjoying it.
I mean, there are places in the world that don't have power. I enjoy watching television.
That's certainly
Nobody's
true, Tom.
like, how rude of you to enjoy watching television. That takes electric. I get it if he's in an area where there is a drought, right?
Yeah.
And there's limited resources and he's watering his lawn. Like, those people are D-bags, and I totally get it.
I think they felt like he was not sending a good message in that he's kind of like a person who sets the stage for other people, and then he's showing this, and so maybe people that live in those areas might say, oh, well, if it's okay for him, it's okay for me. I don't know. I'm just telling you what they said.
I get it. I just man, at some point there's so many corners to see around. I just don't know how realistic it is to be able to do that, You can at me. I'll ignore you.
They won't at you. They'll at me.
Yeah.
So don't.
I'll ignore you on her behalf. And then also Yahoo featured Kendall Toole.
This was originally in Women's Health. I just wanted to call that out because I saw it a few times this week. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kendall was in there and she was talking about her favorite foods and how you can use them for self-care. Her body reacted badly to ingredients like gluten and dairy and soy and yeast and all kinds of things. So she had to clean it up and figure out what worked for her and what didn't. And it even affected her mental health. So it's something that is very near and dear to her. It's very important that people know that and that foods can affect your well-being on a lot of levels.
Shape.com sat down with Tunde.
Yeah. And she provided confidence tips. And I'm laughing because who else should you get confidence tips from? I mean, this lady exudes confidence on every level.
In an appropriate manner.
Yes, she does.
It's easy for confidence to tip over into cockiness.
And she does not do that.
She does not do that.
She doesn't. I mean, I use the example of when she cut her hair. She was scared of doing that for a really long time. And then one day she was like, I'm tired of I'm tired of that being a thing.
Yeah.
So, and we need to point out, this is by Michelle K.
Michelle K.
Michelle K is at it again. Back to shape. Back to shape, Michelle. This is a great article, and I so adore Tunde. I loved seeing her featured here, and she has fabulous tips for confidence. We can all learn from her.
So Robin has a master class on the app/website Masterclass.
Yeah, and this premiered last year.
Okay, I thought we had talked about this for a while, but there's a contest going on associated with it.
There is, yeah, and you can enter now. And one winner is going to get coached by Robin in a 60-minute virtual one-on-one coaching session. So worth it right there.
Yeah.
And she's going to help you develop a personalized plan to accomplish your goals this year. Oh my God, amazing. Also, there is a wellness kit, hand-picked selection of Robin's favorite products. So we've got Hyper Ices, Hypervolt Go, and Core Meditation Trainer. So you share your goals, and you have to be a Masterclass subscriber, and you do these things, and boom, you can be part of this. You could be a winner.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're already a winner.
Aw, thanks, honey.
But you could be an extra winner.
You could be a Masterclass for Robin winner. I know I didn't say that well. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Emma Lovewell is going to be on, or will have already been on, live with Kelly and Ryan.
Yeah, she was super excited about it, posted it in her story, and she actually posted this morning 15 minutes before she was going live, and she was nervous because it was in her house and like, eek! And she has a cat, and they had done the rehearsal just before she went live, and she was like, and the cat totally bombed her thing. So I didn't get to watch the full thing. I hope her cat did not bomb, but if it did, I'm sure that the cat was adorable.
And they identified her as a fitfluencer.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Nothing about Peloton, a fitfluencer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting as well. I think it's because that was just their theme for the week. I noticed on Thursday they have another fitfluencer, and they probably don't want to like name one company over another.
Gotcha.
Just a guess.
So Logan Aldridge has been in the studio rehearsing.
Yeah, so it's going to be very soon that he is teaching classes live. But today he was there, and Bex ran into him and Jess Sims in the green room, and they took a selfie together. And by the way, Bex just cut her hair and she added bangs, and she looks freaking amazing. Yes, that's news. So this is going to be really exciting to see Logan Aldridge teaching classes. I'm excited. Tom?
Yes?
Would you like to know what my favorite thing is about the Sonos Roam?
I would.
I love the way it fills up the basement with sound. It sounds so good.
It is kind of like, how is one thing making all this noise?
How is it possible that it like looks the size of like a soda can cylinder, and it sounds like a huge home stereo coming out of that thing, and you can just pick it up and take it anywhere. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. It's ultra portable smart speaker that allows you to bring the Sonos experience everywhere you go. Roam weighs less than a pound, and its premium, durable design makes it perfect for the home and on the go.
When you're home, it connects to your Wi-Fi network and the rest of your Sonos system, and then automatically pairs with your phone on Bluetooth when you're on the go, so you get a seamless experience.
It is easy to use, the best. So if you would like to learn more, go to Sonos.com and learn all about it.
In case you missed it.
So you got new shoes, but you got the new Peloton shoes.
I did, and I got the new cycling shoes. You know, I talked last week about how I wanted to get them because the white ones, they're not the most attractive, and I've had them for a very long time. I was nervous because I've heard a lot of people saying, oh my God, these things are so narrow, they don't stay on your heel, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if they took the feedback that they got from people and they corrected it, or if I just happened to have the right size feet. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I did not experience anything with them being too narrow. They felt a little bit snug on the outer edges of my feet, but after I had them on for about 5 minutes, I didn't even notice it. And as I was riding, I was perfectly comfortable. I didn't experience any numbness, but my favorite part about them was how soft they were. And I don't know how to explain it. They just felt so light and easy on my feet. They weren't as clunky as the other ones. I really thought they were comfortable. I was very impressed and surprised after some of the negative things that I'd heard.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And then also, Kristen McGee did an IG Live with Chef Ming Tsai. I guess I hope I'm saying that right.
I think that you are. And yes, they actually cooked together, and they had a whole thing that it was like a cooking demo. You could get the recipe and you could cook along with them. I thought it was really cool.
Andy Speer and Rebecca Kennedy are switching places.
They are. And they were excited about it. They posted on their stories, which they post a lot of stories together. So I guess that's not really that shocking. But they're switching places. So normally Rebecca does a Friday 45 at 10 a.m. and Andy does the Sunday Sizzle at 10:30 a.m. and they switched.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a Freaky Friday, but on a Sunday also.
Yes, exactly. It's like a freaky weekend.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that one on RedTube. Did you watch that too?
Whoa.
I mean, what's RedTube?
Oh, well, I'm not going to explain it to you now.
I love the fact that you could. And then if you want to know more about running, if you're a beginning runner, then you need to check out IG Live, because Matt Wilpers and Jess Sims and Kirsten Ferguson have tips for you.
They do. Yeah, this went live on...
You were skeptical that I was going to get all those names right.
I was, but then I realized she's tagged in it. It says Kirsten Ferguson right there, so I guess it's not that impressive. But
for a moment, you were impressed with me.
I was. It was just a moment.
Cooler heads prevailed.
But yeah, this went live. They went live together on Tuesday, and I got to watch a little bit of it. And there are some amazing tips about like things like every beginner does, like don't go out too hard. Like do not, like Jess Sims always says no ego amigo, but like really starting way easier than you think. And also something that most runners are guilty of, not every run needs to be a hard run. Not every run should be a hard run. And how you can kind of put your schedule together. And so all three of them are on the schedule this year. They've kind of, Peloton has put into place, like there's going to be a certain boot camp in place every day. Or every week, there's going to be a beginner class. There's going to be an endurance class. They've done this so on purpose to kind of build it up for people who are new to running, so you know that you can expect these things. So it's some excellent tips. If you are new to running, I highly suggest you go check it out if you missed it live.
You know, I was also thinking, so keep your ego in check. Don't go at it too hard. These are also things learned in the aforementioned film Freaky Weekend.
That's true. And stay hydrated. Yeah. It works on both levels.
It does.
Peloton birthdays.
And finally, a happy birthday to Ben Aldis, who is celebrating on January 22nd.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ben. I mean, this year has gone by so fast. It honestly feels like we just told him happy birthday. I can remember having this conversation last year. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow, it goes by fast. He's growing up.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Jim McCaffrey. Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
We're good. I always start these with finding out where people originally found out about Peloton, like how you heard about Peloton and how you got in the Peloton world. So I'm curious to start there.
So, yeah, it's funny. My wife and I, we always joke. We have all these different inroads where people start with small talk and it gets to real talk real fast with us. You know, I mean, unfortunately, I learned about Peloton while we were living in the city, while my daughter was actually in treatment for childhood cancer. We had, we had to get creative with the ways that her and I stayed fit, because exercise is a very important thing to me. It's very important to her. And, when you go through struggle, you got to still find a way to do it. So one of the things that we did was, there's some of the different places we stayed had gyms, and they had, bikes that we could ride in there. And we just started hearing the buzz around New York about Peloton. So fortunately for us, somebody very nice bought us a bike, which kind of was our inroad in, because people do nice things for people who are struggling. And once the bike was delivered to our house, once we were able to come back home, I started riding, and it's a fun, great community to get involved in. So
wow. So it's been quite a road, it sounds like. Yeah. So then last year, for people who are hearing this interview, last year, Andrea did this like amazing ride where she rode 24 hours straight to raise money for Infinite Love for Kids. And you are the VP of Infinite Love for Kids. So for people who may not have heard of it, this is their first introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I mean, the event was something that we had kind of come up with. We were looking for creative ways to raise money in virtual environments. One of our biggest fundraisers that we usually had was a gala, in-person sit down, give people open bar, have a good time, raffle off a whole bunch of stuff that people want, and you make a lot we right?
It sounds like it's positively from another era at this point,
know, right?
You might as well be the Great Gatsby.
So we were sitting there, we're like, why don't we just ride a bike for 24 hours? Really, we were just looking for creative ways to try to engage our audience and try to continue to inspire people. So, that's really where it started. And
for people who may not be familiar, so Infinite Love for Kids raises money for kids that have childhood cancer, right? And so, and that goes towards research, I believe, and also helping the families themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a kind of a dual purpose. Obviously, raising funds for cancer research in children is something that is very important to us. And anyone who gets involved in that community knows that, only 4% of the national budget for research for all cancers goes to childhood cancer. So for us, we wanted to bridge that gap and do what we could to fund research. So that's our primary mission. And then, a good percentage of our funds go towards that we raise annually. And then we also help families in need, whether it's money to help offset the financial burden by paying some bills, or, whether it's doing something nice for the family by building a ridiculous tree house or something for them. We do what we can to help people and personalize the care, because honestly, that's how I got to know Anj. I got to know her because my daughter was diagnosed, and she brought us in and gave my daughter some amazing experiences, and then we just knew we had to give back from there.
And that's awesome that you went from like, oh, I'll give back to like, I'm VP.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things. It's you get moved by something, and it took me a little while to get involved. And she, Anj and I are like, I don't know. I view her as like an older sister. She's somebody who just reminds me of my family. I have two sisters. I really look up to my older sister, and I completely and thoroughly respect my younger sister and all that she does, and how strong women both of them are. And Anj is just a great, I guess, like a great fusion of the qualities that I respect most in them. So it was an easy thing for me to get involved in. And, she likes my energy, and, we were a good team together. So.
Well, if you want to keep working with her, you might want to just start calling her sister instead of older sister.
Yeah, I think that's part of what we do. We bust each other's chops. So growing up in Massachusetts, we didn't have a lot of love for New Jersey. So that's one of our nice little things we get about as well. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, I heard that you're planning to join her this year on the ride. When is the ride, first of all?
Oh, I think we're kicking ourselves off on January 29th. So it's a Saturday in the morning. And our first ride, we aim for the 9:00 ride. So whenever, Peloton doesn't release their schedules, too far in advance. So we'll find whatever that 9 a.m. live ride is on Saturday. We'll go after the instructor on social media, let them know what we're doing, and try to flood that ride with as many people that want to get involved as possible. So you can sign up to just do the 30-minute class with us. Or 45-minute class, whatever it ends up being at 9, and send out a handle for everybody to put on their leaderboard, and we'll do what we can to enjoy the sub community that happens with Peloton rides, and that'll kick off our ride. And then my crazy idea, I think, is to keep myself engaged, and I'm not going for big output numbers, but I'm going to try to do every live ride that day. So just being them all, just to keep myself entertained and going. So
what are you going to do in between? There's not 24 hours of content for anybody who's new to Peloton. So what are you going to do the rest of the hours?
I definitely have, and I'm looking for suggestions from people too, but I'll do some encore rides. Some of my favorite ones that are out there, I like all the rock rides. Those is where I go. So, anything that I can just kind of put the earbuds in and listen to some music and go from there, I'll do. And then, Anj and I are going to try to do like Facebook Live together while we're doing it. We tried to do one recently on Facebook and failed miserably with me in Connecticut and her in New Jersey, but we're going to try to do that together. So, I'll probably throw a scenic ride on while I'm doing that and, be able to interact as we go. So yeah.
Wow.
So since you're doing this for a second year, I'm assuming it worked well for you last year. How did it?
Wait, did you ride? I thought you didn't ride last year.
I meant the event in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
The event was a whopping success. I mean, it was one of these things where, you go in with goals and initially the event was going to be, we were going to tag team. She was going to do 12 hours and I was going to do 12 hours and we're going to kind of relay it all the way out. And we had the event scheduled for early December. Got to mix my years up now, but whatever that, I think it was 2019 or 2020 at that time. And unfortunately, like 2 weeks before the event, I was diagnosed with stage 1 adenocarcinoma. And I had to have lung surgery. So, which happened on December 1st. And again, we can go into that a little bit, unpack that whole, intro to the story. But it was something I knew I wasn't going to be able to do 12 hours of ride. So, yeah, I mean, Anja's an inspiration, man. She just said, you know what? I'm going to do all 24. I said, you're crazy. And she did it and like completely inspired me while doing it. And, it was amazing. So I actually did get to be a part of it. I did the 9 a.m. live ride with everybody.
That's fantastic.
And felt good to be at least a little bit of a part of it. And then, went on with the rest of my day and kept checking in on her. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you were diagnosed with what now? What does that mean to the average person?
Yes. Translate that to people.
Yeah.
So I had lung cancer. So I had a tumor on my, on the upper part of my right lung. So you have 5, different, they're not valves, but 5 different parts of your lung, 3 on your right side, 2 on your left. And the tumor was on my right lung on the lobe. So I found this mainly because I have a syndrome called Lee-Frau-Mini syndrome, which we learned about through genetic testing after my daughter's diagnosis. And, so my daughter was diagnosed in 2016. She had a form of cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma.
Okay.
And Mia had a courageous battle. And, I say it all the time whenever I do any interview, that my baby girl beat cancer every single day. It just unfortunately took her, 364 days after she was diagnosed. And, it was tough, obviously, tough's the wrong word. I mean, an English teacher here and, to put words to the loss and grief you feel from losing a child is impossible.
Sure.
We have a son, James, who was 20 months younger than her, and we were approached by Dr. Walsh at Memorial Sloan Kettering. He's a geneticist, and he just advised. He's like, listen, you guys should do some genetic testing and try to get to the why, because when you're in childhood cancer and you see your child battling, like it's funny to me because like in life, why is like the most important question I have. Like in teaching, everything I do, I have a strategy for teaching this book. Well, why do I want to do that? How is this helping kids? But when it came to that, like why was the last thing we were worried about at that time? We were like, what can we do to combat this head on and try to figure out, how we can try to beat this? And so we eventually started asking why, and we found out that a lot of this had to do with this syndrome. It's a genetic mutation. It's chromosomal that, puts me at a higher risk of getting cancer. And then I had a 50-50 chance of passing it on to my children, the same chromosomal mutation. through a lot of different genetic research as we went back, through my family and tried to paint a picture, I was an anomaly. It's not present in any of my family. And it's just something that was, happened during conception, and you can't control it. It's not something that you normally test for. There's this isn't something that during one of my physicals when I was a kid, they would have been able to see.
Right.
There are people that could be walking around with this right now that don't know they have it, So that's the fortunate end of this, is that my little girl has helped my life, and again, as a parent, I wish the opposite, but, also as a parent, I have a son who's 2 years old now that we had after me, and we were able to take the steps that we knew we could take through science to ensure that I didn't pass that gene on to him. So, again, it's a lot to unpack. I know stories are complex. We're on chapter 2 right now, but it's something that I feel really fortunate to know that I go through scans all the time, once a year, to make sure that this is something that we're getting early. And we were able to. Stage 1 adenocarcinoma, I didn't need any radiation. I didn't need any chemotherapy. They just had to take 1/5 of my lung.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and again, like you said, with choosing the right words, it's weird to say, like, with a smile on your face, oh, they just took 1/5 of my lung.
Yeah.
Phew, but yeah, I mean, it certainly could be a lot worse, I suppose. So how does that work for you moving forward? Is it like when you say it increases your risks of cancer, is it like a specific type of cancer, or could it be anything?
I mean, I literally this morning just read a finding there's the Lee Fraumeni Syndrome Society, there's like that spreads awareness and things like that. There's a recent report that came out about it, having a higher risk for more invasive prostate cancer is one, lung is the other one. And the issue with it is that it's hard to have baseline statistics on something that people aren't regularly getting evaluated for.
Sure.
So, you have to kind of temper the numbers that you hear, because it could drive you crazy, right? To sit there and say to yourself, like, what does higher risk mean? And I mean, when again, baseline statistics, 1 in 3 people, humans, will get cancer, So it's like, well, how do you then take that number and apply it to somebody who's at a higher risk? So in the end, what it does for me, though, medically, is it fully, being a fully insured individual, my insurance, like through my genetic testing, because I have this, these scans are funded. I'm able to go in and get these regular scans without it completely destroying my bank account.
Yeah.
And then it's something that we do kind of keep close to the chest, but it's one of those things. My son James, who was born after Mia, he has the chromosomal mutation as well. So, we definitely didn't do great with our statistics, going in, but he goes through regular testing as well, and he's been clear so far. Like my first scans produced baseline things that they were following. Like I had my thyroid removed because there was something on that, and that was right away, and then the lung was something that followed. So, again, you say, like, I'm lucky, and I'm lucky to have an amazing team of doctors and like an even more amazing family. Like my wife and I have been through so much together, and we go right after it, and she is a tremendous support system for me, and we're doing what we can.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is.
It's
humbling to hear. It's like you've just taken it all in stride, and whenever you break it down, and it's just kind of like a minute and a half that you explain all that, but like I know that was a long time of you processing. Like that's over years of processing. So I can't imagine, like my brain is still trying to catch up with everything that you just said that's happened. And that's a lot. That is a lot.
It's tough. Like I'm still broken, like I'm still somebody who feels, again, talking to my wife this past weekend, we were at a wedding, I'm having a little bit of a good time, and sometimes when you're introducing a couple depressants into your life, it triggers something, so
Absolutely.
tough moments that we go through. I'm not always composed and, and able to talk about it without getting caught up in it all. But that said, I try to look at it with relativity, like I'm an endurance athlete. I love, I've run 15 marathons, I'm somebody I'm a runner. I coach running here at the high school that I teach at. And, I competed in the New York City Marathon this past November, not even 12 months after lung surgery,
Wow.
So
Wow.
again, that's not just inner determination and strength. That's respecting the power of science, doing what you can to build yourself back up, and then having an incredible team to support you, and having community with you, that's what it's all about, so yeah. And here I'm going to ride for 24 hours.
Yeah. You're like Superman, man.
How long did it take after your surgery before you felt like you could get back to
you could use your
riding the
lungs
bike
again?
and running
Yeah.
and,
So again, we'll go into chapter 3 now, 2 days I did my surgery at Sloan, and on day 3, I tested positive for COVID of recovery.
Oh my goodness.
So
I'm laughing at just like
you just keep
the
getting
absurdity of it.
slammed with
Yeah.
crisis after crisis.
So let's just say, that's December 3rd at that time when we find out that happens. Again, my wife and I are both teachers. My son's in an elementary school. The hospital, as clean as it can be, you never know.
And you're watching the news, they're like, oh, you're like 10 days away from the vaccine. And
Yeah.
But again, so it was hard to kind of sort out some of the symptoms that I was having that were connected to recovering from lung surgery and also having COVID, but let's put it this way. So that's December 3rd. December 26th, I went for my first run. So
Wow.
Coming home from the hospital, we have a treadmill down in our basement right next to our Peloton. And the first walk I tried to go on, since it was, I'm in quarantine and, it's winter, I just decided to walk on the treadmill down there. It was a 20-minute pace for me to do half a mile. So that was early on. And then within 2 weeks, I'm out there pushing myself. Now, I'm not the athlete I was, the marathon. And again, we all set standards for ourselves as athletes. And that's what I love about Peloton, actually. It's you can set your own goals. You have your own outputs that you're aiming for. And yeah, some people are impressed by what you're able to do, but again, you're able to set your own goals based off of that, and running's the same thing for me as well. I was able to compete in the marathon, and I did it in 3 hours, just over 3 hours and 30 minutes. And my personal record going into that was 2:51, so
I couldn't complete a marathon in 3 hours if somebody were going to give me $6 billion at the end. I could not do it. So
I couldn't watch a marathon in that amount of time.
know, right? So again, these are the things that you have to look at with relativity. You have to appreciate what your body's able to continue to do, and just enjoy it as much as you can. Stay in the moment. As I think I said that to myself, over 1,500 times while I was running, because I kept getting caught up in it all. When you do anything for a long time, what you think about in your mind is really important, because if you start getting lost in something, it can trigger you to lose pace or to go into a dark place. And you just have to have a mantra that you keep coming back to, stay in the moment, stay right here, relax, enjoy what you're looking at. And that's what I kept telling myself, and it worked. So going to have to summons a little bit of that, I think, going into this 24 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Wow. So are you going to have she had a support team last year. Are you going to have a support team this year? Are you going to have people bringing you I remember her daughter brought her those things to put on her legs when her knees were hurting and stuff. Do you have plans? Are you have a backup?
I certainly have a great support team around me. I always tout how amazing my wife is, and within every marathon that I've run, she's been with me, and I have a distinct memory of an experience with her in every one of them. I tell her now, I'm like, listen, you're gonna have to do a little bit more, And, I'm sure my son James will get involved. He's 9 years old. He'll be down there. Of course, he's going to be like, as long as I can sit and play Fortnite while you're doing it. So he'll go on some gaming marathon while I'm sitting there riding the bike. But
I smell a new fundraiser.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. But, I'll definitely have a support team there. And, it's just, I'm still, and again, this is where I'm going to throw this out on Facebook at some point here, still trying to figure out like where I want to do this, because my basement is not as attractive as Anja's side room that she had in the house. And, as beautiful as my open floor plan is in our house that we have here. And, again, my wife and I were humble. We're both teachers, we live in Fairfield County, richest county in Connecticut, So I would disrupt the flow of my entire household if I rode where that is. So I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do, like where I'm going to set my bike up and do it all. But, I will have some support with me.
Well, there's a lot of Connecticut writers I know for a fact, so I'm sure some of the listeners might be able to help you. Some people on Facebook can help you out, because there's a lot of people that have spaces and have resources. So
I'd entertain anybody. But again, when you do something for 24 hours, I'd love to meet some new people.
Yeah, I bet.
It's flown during this interview, guys. So it's nice to talk to people and get to know them. And again, I have no problem.
So given that, besides giving you trying to find you a place to do your bike ride, how else can the Peloton community help out? What can we do? What things can we do?
First of all, we'd love you to get involved and ride, so, you can register for us. Again, we can put all the information wherever this is, like a link, needs to be somewhere, but, if you Google now, Infinite Love Pedal-thon, we're one of the first hits that come up. So you can register through our bike sign-up page, and you can register 2 ways. You can do the individual ride, which is just sign up and ride for 1 class with us, 2 class, whatever you want to do. Or you can sign on and be one of our 24-hour riders too. Again, we're closing that registration earlier because we don't want people to decide on a whim to do it, because you really, as somebody who does endurance stuff, you can mess up a month of your life after if you decide to just do this without too much preparation or thinking. But yeah, and we welcome people to join up. You could even join the 24-hour club and do it as kind of you could design your own relay too. There's not going to be really an option for that in sign up, but you could do it and get a whole crew together and do it that way. So yeah, beyond that, do that individual ride and get on that first class that we have. And then, once you can follow us on Facebook, Infinite Love for Kids, and for Kids Fighting Cancer on Facebook. And we'll advertise what class we're going to do it in as soon as we know.
Okay.
And at that point, that you can start hitting social media, I'm riding at 9 a.m. and tag whatever instructor it is and see if we can get a shout out, because those shout outs are precious. And just by saying somebody's name or what we're doing, that's really what we're aiming to do. And then obviously, these bikes aren't cheap. The annual fees to be on one of these bikes isn't cheap, but, we'd love for that community to get involved and donate to the cause and try. Our aim is to raise $100,000 this year.
Wow.
And I think we can do it. And if we do that, that's 2 fully funded research grants. Wow. That's amazing. That's what we want to do. So
that's incredible.
That is awesome. So is Andrea going to ride it all again this year, or is she going to pass that mantle to you because, of course, her advanced age?
Her age has nothing to do with how bonkers she is. So she's definitely doing it again. It wasn't even a question. So when we said we were doing the event again, she's like, I'm riding for 24 hours. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to ride for 24 hours.
Yeah. How would that make you look if you didn't, right?
Exactly. So I'm definitely doing it. She 100% was on board again, and she's even recruited somebody. And I wish I had that person's name in front of me. It's one of Anja's friends that's doing it. And, so we already have a third person involved in this whole madness. So yeah, I mean, it's it's going to be fun and painful and, emotional and, one of those things. And I'm sure she always has a way to surprise me. I'm sure there's something else that she's going to throw at me too while we're on the bike, especially if we haven't gotten to the goal by the end. So, who knows what she'll pull off at the end.
Wow. So have you been training? Have you been getting prepared for this?
So one of the big things that I do with running, and I'm what we call a streak runner, not in the fact that I do it without my clothes on.
Good to know.
I guess that's one way to hit that goal down the stretch, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I coach high school track and field and cross country here, and I coach a girls team. And one of the things they always joke with me about is I say a run doesn't count unless it's 3 miles. So I run 3 miles every day, and then I'm going to start ramping up the Peloton intensity over the course of the next, starting next week. I'll do at least 3 classes a day, and I'm going to be aiming for high output on each of them, just to try to help get the legs ready to get moving, and then I'll just keep the running going too. So definitely more of a runner than a rider, but I definitely have a lot of respect for the Peloton and use it a lot. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Wow. This is going to be exciting. Maybe you should just run for 24 hours. You do the tread, she does the bike. No?
That is definitely that's going to happen at some point in my life. I will be on a track somewhere for 24 straight hours. I picture bands playing in the middle, all that stuff.
They got to get you pumped, man.
And then maybe one section of it, we can combine it. We can add the kids gaming in the middle too as well.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's going to be huge.
I just can't imagine being on your feet for 24 hours.
No, that's a lot.
We're crazy.
You're dedicated and passionate.
Yeah. It's a thin line sometimes.
It is.
Yeah. So do you have a preferred instructor?
So I've always liked Jenn Sherman. I always did all her rides.
Given your love of rock music, that makes sense.
Rock music. And then for some reason, every time the output she was trying to get out of us at the cadence that she was telling us with the adjustments was always exact for me. It was exactly what I was always looking for. And that was always a big thing with the rides. So yeah, I'll be hitting some Jenn rides while I'm out there.
Awesome.
And then Jess King knows how to kick your ass too. So you never know. Maybe we'll throw one of those in.
You will have plenty of time.
That's true. I feel like you could hit all of the instructors multiple times in 24 hours.
Maybe that's another goal. I'm looking for some things to do. So open to suggestions, and we'll definitely do it. And again, if there's rides that people throw them out to me and I'll definitely hop on. You give me a high five, and maybe I'll get some kind of sign up genie going with classes, and people can sign up and join me for a ride. So.
Oh, I love that. That'd be great. That'd be great.
So since you teach people how to run and you're a big Pelotoner, do you have any advice for people that are just now entering the world of Peloton, whether it be with a bike or a tread?
Yeah, I think it almost speaks to exactly what I just said. Definitely number one, start with the beginner rides. Get used to manipulating everything and using the bike properly. Get it fit. Do make sure you have the fit right and all that stuff. But beyond just that as a starting point, it's all about starting slow and setting up little stops for yourself throughout. So week 1, what was I able to do during a 30-minute ride? Okay, then next week, I'm going to do all these other rides, but I'm going to revisit that 30-minute ride again and see if my outputs are similar. And just trying to find that instructor that, really you feel speaks to you. I think when it comes to motivating anybody to do anything, if you're looking for an antagonist, you're looking for somebody to yell at you, there's an instructor out there for you. If you're looking for somebody to show you some empathy and build you up as you go, there's an instructor out there for you. Just don't judge the bike by just one ride. You're going to find your groove, and you're going to find somebody, an instructor in there who you really like. And,
yes.
I feel the same way about running on the roads, if you judge running by 1 3-mile run that you do, go find a flatter route and maybe go run by the beach. It's a lot nicer there. So yeah.
If only.
It's not really an option in St. Louis.
It sounds beautiful though. Yeah.
St. Louis has got a lot of great places. I was out there for a convention they do the NCTE. It's a National English Teachers Convention there, and I got to go out there. St. Louis is a nice place to run around. You know, you just got to make sure you run in the right places.
Yeah, you have to run because a lot of times you're being chased.
It's not that bad.
That's why I'm so tough.
Yeah. It shows, Tom. It shows.
That was my impression.
I don't think he meant that.
No, I don't. It would be weird if he did. He'd be a very bad judge of character if he meant that.
That's fair.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. And before we let you go, just remind everybody where they can find you if you would like to be found, and of course where they can find your charity and sign up for your event if they would like to do that as well.
Right. So my leaderboard name is Make It Amazing, which is named after my daughter, Mia, M-I-A. Make It Amazing is what we try to do every day. It's what motivates me every day. So follow me on the leaderboard there. You can also, find the Infinite Love Peloton. You can find that by following us on Facebook, Infinite Love for Kids Fighting Cancer. You can visit us on the internet, infiniteloveforkidsfightingcancer.org. And there you'll be able to see our events and everything that we do and hopefully get involved. And we'll get some people out there on the bike having a good time.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And we'll be cheering for you guys. And I'm sure I'll do at least one ride, maybe more. I'm not going to do 24 hours. I'll tell you that right now.
I won't hold you to 24 hours, but I'll look for you.
Okay. I'll be there. I will be there.
Thank you so much for having me, and allowing me to share my story with you, page by page. And, it was great chatting with you guys.
You too.
Likewise.
And you take care. And I hope that this coming year is a little bit easier on you.
We'll see.
I know, right? Well, you take care.
We'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
We are going to have the creator of the Pelotinos group, Victor Cornejo, on. And I am so excited about our chat with him.
Awesome. So until then, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. And they can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the bike, and of course, the tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, wherever you're getting your podcast from, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.